You're from the Austin area? Just tell me a little bit where you're from, where you grew up.
I'm from Pflugerville, Texas. It's a suburb of Austin. It's about 20 minutes from the city. It used to be very rural farmland, and it's kind of grown. We have 2 water parks now, and it's kind of exploded. Everyone's moving to Austin. Everyone wants to live in a safe suburb. I've loved living in Pflugerville. I've lived there since I was 3, and I kind of just love the Central Texas area.
Awesome. Now, and your parents are still there, I assume, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cool, very cool. Okay, let's talk about this weekend. I guess, like, how do you feel like 48 hours? Like, has it still hit you, or you're just like in interview mode?
This is absolutely insane. Like the amount of coverage this is getting on national news platforms. My family is going crazy. Every time they look around, it's like a new interview's coming out. It's been like so nuts. I got interviewed by the Wall Street Journal, and I have to like listen to that for class. Like it's assignments for me I have to listen to. So whenever I told them that, they were like, oh my gosh, I'm happy you're a listener. And I was like starstruck. But my phone hasn't stopped blowing up. I have people tweeting me that I've like looked up to, like famous softball players like Lauren Chamberlain and Jen Schroeder, and it's like mind-blowing right now. It's been so crazy.
Yeah, and I think I read something, or I mean, obviously I saw it too, but you were on Sports Center, which, like,
Mm-hmm.
amazing.
Yeah, my boyfriend back in Texas, because I was in Arkansas when this was all happening, he sent me a screenshot. He'd gotten the notification on his phone, and he was like, dude, you're on Sports Center. And I was like, you're lying, stop.
He took like a screenshot of his phone that has like your name on it. There was a push alert sent out.
Yes.
That's how you know you're big time, when ESPN like sends a push alert. Like, that's awesome. So I saw the video of the last out. What were you like? You were like cool as a cucumber. Is that just how you are?
I guess so. I don't know. I didn't really realize what I just done, I think. And we had a double header that day. So it was kind of just like, all right, well, one win, on to the next game. Like the next game starts in 30 minutes. Like, I don't know. I guess I didn't realize that was it.
Your description is exactly how you walked off. You're just like, okay, like, I'm ready to run it back. Like, you need 7 more. Like, okay, whatever. That's exactly like next game. What was were you, and that, you don't tell me exactly, but like, do you have your pitches on your wrist? Is that like what you were looking at?
Yes. So I have like a grid of all the pitches I throw. And so my coach will give me a number, my catcher gets the number, and then my catcher will set up based on what the pitch to her. Yeah, every pitch.
What was that last pitch? What was the last out?
I don't remember. It might have been a rise ball, probably. But that's what I throw. I'm an up ball pitcher, so I work at the top of the zone.
Nice. Awesome. So at no point did it hit you that, like, A, no one had gotten on base, B, no one had scored, and C, that you had struck everyone out? Like, at no point during the game did that dawn on you?
I knew it was a perfect game, because, you know, in softball and baseball, it's like a superstition, like you can't say a perfect game or it jinxes it. And I could hear like my teammates whispering, like, shh, don't say anything, like don't say anything, you're gonna jinx it. So I was like, okay, something's going on. Like I know nobody's been on base, but I guess I didn't realize that they'd all been by strikeout, because I was just flying through innings. I was trying to throw zeros on the board.
Yeah, I think in that last out video, someone was like, I didn't want to say anything. Like, you can hear her shout at the end, which is funny.
Yes, she's a freshman. She's so cute.
Yeah, and you wouldn't want the freshman. Like, she knew like she couldn't mess it up for the senior or for the redshirt junior. Yeah, talk to like people. I guess not everyone knows what it's like to pitch. Like, what's the zone that you're in? That like how could people be like, how could you not know? But like, you're like totally laser focused on the task at hand.
Right. So I think as a pitcher, it's at this level, it's very difficult mentally. And I don't think a lot of people realize that. It's like, I control everything. I control the speed of the game. I can control, well, I don't control the outcome, but I definitely influence the outcome. And I think that not a lot of people realize that I don't get to take a pitch off. So like if you can sit in the outfield and you can sit on the infield, and I can zone out for a little bit if I'm playing those positions, but as a pitcher, if I do that, I'm gonna get hit off of, or I'm gonna throw a ball. You know, it's not gonna be, the pitch is not gonna be what I intend, and I have to have a purpose for everything, and it's very mentally taxing. So that zone of just staying in the game, it's incredibly difficult, which is probably why I didn't realize.
You have a hand in every single pitch, every single play of the game. Like, you are a part of it, which is a lot. So yeah, no, I totally get it. This was the perfect game in UNT history, like first time ever in D1 softball history. Like, as you hear all these records, do any of them in particular stand out to you?
I think the first time in NCAA D1 history, that is insane to me. Because I mean, this is something that every pitcher strives for. It's everyone's like bucket list, I guess, if you're a pitcher. Like, it's something that you strive for every single game, but it's impossible. And I did it. Like, it happened to me. So that's like so shocking. And I feel like that's something like, oh, this happened to me. Like, I didn't have any part in it, but it's incredible.
Yeah, like all those hours in the weight room and training, and I'm sure you had to give up a lot of, I don't want to say give up childhood, but you had to sacrifice a lot of things to get where you are. Like, are you reflective in this moment, I guess?
Yes, I think it's, I finally get to see, it's not like finally, like, I mean, I'm very thankful, like, this all happened and I got my scholarship and I get this opportunity, and that's huge, and that's what I've worked for. But like, to achieve perfection like this is something that every pitcher dreams of, and that's very surreal.
Yeah, have you framed the box score, or have you?
My SID just literally printed this out for me this morning.
And like, when you look at it, there's like nothing on it. It's a bunch of K's. It's like, it's so cool. Also, so like, what were you still like cheering throughout the game? Were you like, you don't seem like the person who would be like in the corner, tower over your head, like, and I mean that in a good way. Like, you're super fun. So I assume,
yes.
like, what were you like throughout the game?
I'm always at the front of the dugout. I like being around everyone. I genuinely enjoy my teammates' presence, and I love being at the front, hooting, hollering, yelling, screaming. Like, that is just me. But I understand like why people, or mostly baseball players, you see this a lot. They go to the end of the dugout, nobody talk to me, I want to focus. Like, I totally get it. But like, I just enjoy softball. I love it from both sides, in the dugout, on the field, and I think just taking appreciation into not only me but my offense, that is huge too.
Yeah, so I guess it made it even harder for them to whisper about you if you're standing there cheering with them, which is probably why you knew what was going on, I guess.
Yeah.
What will you remember most from this weekend, other than the obvious, like the perfect game? But what's another thing that you'll take away from what happened?
I think that there's like the surface level, like, oh, okay, like she did this near impossible thing, and then there's like the deeper meaning about like what it means for the future of women's sports. So even with the Masters and the March Madness tournament, like, there's a lot of big major headlines, and like, I'm up there, and it's softball getting exposure, and softball is a huge growing sport, and I think that everyone who experiences it falls in love with it. And I think that the more people experience it, like, the bigger the audience gets, and the future is just so bright for this sport, and for especially like women's sports going on. Like, you see the headlines from the women's basketball March Madness, and you see like how they weren't the same, and that like caused an uproar and people wanting to support women's sports. And like, me included, I remember I watched all the tournament games I could, just because that TikTok went viral of the weight room, and I think that just seeing this, that there is an audience and that people are enjoying seeing women succeeding.
That was really well put. I appreciate you. What happens moving forward? I mean, I know you got the season, but obviously you're getting your MBA. Just like, what happens moving forward for Hope?
Well, I have one more season after this. I would hope to graduate with my MBA next May. I I don't know what I'm going to do job-wise, but I'm so passionate about softball. I coach a team, I give lessons already. And that would just be the dream, is to live, breathe softball forever. I wish I could pitch forever, but I can't. So I'm gonna go as far as softball can take me.
And when's the next perfect game happening?
Hopefully tomorrow. We have a game tomorrow, but we have our next conference series this weekend in El Paso, and then we have conference moving here on out until May.
So big games. But it's also interesting too, that I want to bring up, this is not the first time that you've had 21 strikeouts. And it's also not the first time that you've thrown a no-hitter, but it's the first time for like everything like combined.
Yeah.
It was the perfect storm of everything. Now, obviously this one's got to be more special than the other ones, right? But it's interesting. I mean, you're such a baller. Like this is just, you're like, well, I've done half of this before, but now I've done it all, which is so cool. Anything else you want to share about what people might find interesting from the weekend, whether it's about you or the game or anything?
I'm loving seeing all these reactions, and I'm loving just seeing everyone react to how awesome softball is. And it's super cool for me because I'm very passionate and I love seeing other people passionate. So thank you guys.
And your thoughts on the saying hope is dope? You like that?
You're actually the first person who's asked me about that. So my boyfriend Dom and we've been together for 5.5 years. So we started dating when we were 15. And if you put our names together, like Dom and Hope is dope. And so this started in high school. And it's just something like, if we were walking together in the hallway, people would be like, hey Dom, hey Hope. They'd not say that. They would just be like, hey Dope. And then like whenever during games, it'd just be like, oh, Hope is dope. And it just kind of caught on, and it's something I've had for forever. And he always says I never talk about him enough, but that's the one story I could say that I'm like, hey Dom.
I love that. That's awesome. Now, is he into sports? Is he athletic or?
Yeah, so he actually played Division III football at University of Mary Hardin Baylor, and he won a national championship. But he unfortunately had to medically retire his junior year. He had to get like reconstructive shoulder surgery. But he's there every step of the way. He loves sports. He loves like what I do, and every off season he's always dragging me into the weight room and trying to. He's like, "Do you want to be a good pitcher this year or no?" And I'm like, "Oh, okay, but I don't want to." He's there for me. He's my biggest support.
Well, you can tell him that we discussed him for at least 45 seconds. So he got his moment to shine. Thank you so much for your time this morning. I so